We have another episode of Tailwind. Today we are joined by Hamish. Hamish, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks for having me, Austin. So I run the office for Sandler in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We celebrated our 15th anniversary this past May 11th, so
Okay.
a few weeks ago. I am the first multi-time author in the Sandler Network. So I wrote a book called Accountability the Sandler Way back in 2014 and a book Change the Sandler Way back in 2016. I'm also the first and only Canadian recipient of the David H. Sandler Award, which is our highest non-sales honor, and was extra special for me because not only was I nominated by my peers around the world actually selected me to receive that honor. So I'm incredibly grateful for my peers in the Sandler Network. And I also support our clients in creating consistency and predictability in their revenue generation, which is inherently inconsistent and unpredictable, so they can eventually successfully exit through one of my exit advisory partners.
Nice. For those books, can I find them on Amazon or do I have to go look somewhere special?
Anywhere that you get a book or an audiobook, both of them are available
Okay,
on Audible as well. So audiobook, physical book, either one you can find on Amazon or Audible.
cool. I'll have to check it out. My own journey of becoming a Sandler seller. I'm still very much in the beginning phase, so more content will always help.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So before we hit record button, we started talking, and then you were talking about the difference between rapport and trust. That was super interesting and a good distinction to understand. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. And rapport and relationships. So a lot of
Oh,
people
sorry,
say,
relationships. My bad.
it's
Yeah.
all good. This is a common thing in sales. Oh, it's all about relationships. You got to develop a relationship. No, what we have to do is develop rapport. And the root of the word rapport is the word trust.
Mhm.
And people don't trust salespeople. And especially if we're talking about top of funnel, that is a low trust environment because essentially we're all wired for stranger danger because our brain
Mhm.
is wired to keep us safe, which usually means stuck. So if we encounter a stranger, and that's a networking event, a prospecting call, a trade show, anything that's top of funnel, even if it's an intro, even if there's an intro, hey, Troy introduced Austin and I, and Troy knows me, Troy knows Austin. All Austin knows is Troy in some way vouched for me. Now, he may have just said, Hamish exists,
Mhm.
right? So I'm introducing you. Or he might say, oh, Hamish changed my business, he changed my life, he changed whatever. Either way, it's still a stranger. So I always ask, especially on an intro call, hey, Austin, what did Troy say about us that prompted you to take this call today? Except maybe you're just doing a favor for him. And then
Yeah.
I'll smile and I'll laugh. And they go, yeah, you know what? I do owe Troy one. But really, the reason I took it is because Troy said this. And that was really interesting to me. And then I can go, well, tell me more about that. Help me understand. And we can figure out if what I did for Troy is worth what I did, what I could potentially do for you. So the trust piece is really critical because we can build trust really quickly. Relationships take forever, and even if we have a quote unquote great relationship, it doesn't mean that the buyer is actually going to buy from us. All it means is they think that all it means is that we're friends. And I would rather have rapport and develop a relationship than attempt to develop a relationship that ultimately they don't trust me to solve their problems. They like me as a person. They want to go grab a drink with me, coffee, hang out, whatever, except they're never going to become my client. And ultimately, if we're in sales, client first, friend second.
So what are some things that like as you're trying to develop rapport and not a relationship, what are like the red
Mhm.
flags that you should be looking out for your like let's say for me, if I'm sitting down, I'm starting the beginning of the buyer journey or the client journey, what are the things that I can go, okay, I'm doing a good job going rapport. Oh, I accidentally I'm trying to go relationship and then like steer myself back.
So ultimately, it's two things. One is about us, one is about them. So the one about us is, am I keeping the focus on them and their issues? Because the minute I start talking about, well, we've been in business this long, or we've, done this, or we do that, or we've got these awards, our buyer's like, okay, cool. You sound like literally everybody else that I talk to.
Yeah.
So keep the focus on them. And that doesn't mean that we're not talking. It doesn't mean that we're not telling stories about how we've worked with other clients, maybe related to their industry or just in general. Hey, I have this problem. Hey, tell me more about that. Help me understand. You know what? Sounds similar. We were working with a company over here. Here's what their challenge was. Does that resonate with you, Austin? Oh, yeah, it really resonates with me. Okay. And now I'm back to you. Right. So
Mhm.
it's still a conversation. It's got to be a conversation, not an interrogation. So that's number one. The thing about us is we got to keep it focused on them. The thing with them is we need to listen. Are we creating real movement or just agreement? So, hey, Austin, great to meet you today, or, great to meet you. Today's conversation is really about building rapport, figuring out if we like each other enough to ever want to speak again. Fair, fair. So if we do like each other enough at the end of the conversation today, next step is we'll put another time in our calendar to have a bit of a longer conversation. I'll dive deeper into my world. I'd like to dive deeper into your world, really make sure I can see it through your eyes. How's that sound to you? Yeah, yeah, it sounds okay to me. Fast forward. Hey, Austin, so kind of feels like we like each other enough to want to talk again. Fair? Fair. So when are you thinking that we should get together in the next couple of weeks? Well, I really got to think about it, and I got to talk to my business partner. Again, whatever it might be,
Hmm.
they get wishy-washy, and what happened at the start of the conversation, which is yes, I will put a time in the calendar, turns into I got to think about it, or, well, I got stuff coming up and, we could do something, but well, how about you just give me a call in 2 weeks? It's like, that's telling me that there's something off, and we're allowed to call that out. And I call that out is a really aggressive phrase, or has an aggressive connotation. What I mean is to say, Austin, totally cool. Appreciate that you want to think about it. Here's what I've discovered is if we don't get something in the calendar, this is going to fall off both of our desks because I got a lot on the go, you've got a lot on the go. And what I would hate to have happen is 2, 3 months from now, we reconnect and you're like, oh yeah, I really could have used your help a month ago. Uh-oh, that's
Yeah.
my fault, not your fault. So, and then I have to make it okay. On the other hand, Austin, if you don't feel like there's a connection, like there's some trust built in this conversation, let's not take it any further because I know people do business with people that they trust. And if I haven't built trust with you in this conversation, experience tells me it's probably not going to happen. What do you want to do? And then I'm falling on my sword, right? It's not your problem, it's my problem that I didn't build rapport with you. And I'm making it okay for you to stick the knife in me and twist it. And because we're still selling to humans, they're unlikely to do that. However, what they're likely to do is give us new information,
Yeah.
right? And then we get paid as sellers on the information gathered, not the information given.
Mhm. So basically, as you're going through kind of a guiding light, sounds like as long as you're keeping it more focused on them, what they're
Hmm.
trying to achieve, that whereas in like, if you think like a friendship's
Hmm.
usually pretty balanced, it's both back and forth. And then in this
Hmm.
process though, stay on the rapport, which is you helping them, staying in their world, not trying to bring them into yours constantly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we have to remember, though, that there's got to be balance because if our buyer ever feels interrogated,
Hmm.
that also kills rapport because now we go to the other side, which is the pushy, aggressive salesperson instead of the passive, super, relationship oriented. Oh yeah, take your time. It's okay. Just get back to me whenever. Well, that salesperson's funnel probably looks more like a pencil, and they're probably not long for their organization because their
Yeah.
managers eventually be like, hey, you haven't sold anything. Like this is a sales job. On the other hand, we don't want to go to that pushy, aggressive, like, if you don't put something in the calendar right now, then you're not a buyer. Like, that's not helpful either. So
Yeah.
there, we have to make sure that we are treating equal business stature. We are treating them as an equal, just as we expect them to treat us as an equal, and we're the experts. So I have actually said to a buyer who was hesitant, we'll put it that way, to go along with what I had recommended to them. We were closer to the end of the funnel. And I said, hey, totally understand this. Out of curiosity, have you ever been to like your doctor? And they go, yeah. And I said, how often do you fight with your doctor?
Yeah.
And they said, what? And I said, well, like, how often do you fight with your doctor over like what their recommendations are? Well, never. Well, why is that? Well, because they're the expert. I said, yeah.
Yep. I like that. It's a great line.
And
Oh, sorry.
you have to have enough rapport to do that, right? Like, I felt and also I had nothing to lose, right? Because this person who theoretically said they wanted my support is now digging their heels in on the support that I provide. And
Mhm.
now, by the way, I should have figured out what they were thinking of. Like, so they're also partly my fault, right? Like, I'll own that. I should have figured out what that was. However, I'm the expert. Like you came, you asked for my support, and similar, like you go to an accountant and say, help me lower my taxes. You don't tell the accountant how they should lower your taxes because they're the expert. So when we're starting at the top of the funnel, we have to position ourselves as that expert, as that person to be trusted, while still framing it all about the person that we're talking to.
Yeah. So when we started that example of kind of how you build rapport and as it's growing down the line, you started with an intro. Intros are the
Yeah,
best. You can never beat that,
totally.
but we're not always going to get those. How are you managing rapport at the very, very top where you're coming in cold?
Yeah. So there's a technique that we teach our clients in Sandler called the pattern interrupt.
Mhm.
And we've all had the conversation where it's, hey, is Mr. Bayewell there? And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, salesperson, click. And so what we have to do is we have to interrupt that pattern. Now, my favorite, so when I started my Sandler business 15 years ago, in my first 6 months, I made 5,000 cold calls. And that was either speaking directly with or leaving a voicemail for a decision maker. So ring ring, hey, is Austin there? No, he's on holidays. That didn't count. Okay. 9 to 15,000 dials. Let's say that I talked to out of the 5,000 cold calls, let's say that I had 1,500 I actually connected with, right? So 3,500 voicemails, I talked to them eventually, and then 1,500 actual connections. My favorite pattern to interrupt is, hey, Austin, Hamish calling. This is a cold call. It's okay to hang up on me.
Yeah.
And most people would laugh, and I'd ask my clients, and hey, how many people do you think hung up on me? It was more than zero. And I've heard upwards of 1,000.
Yeah.
And the answer is three. Out of 1,500 people, I said the same thing. Three people hung up on me. I called them all right back. Hey,
Mhm.
Austin, Hamish calling. I think my phone died.
Yeah.
I got meetings out of two of them. The third one hung up on me, which was wonderful because it told me everything I needed to know. And this is something else when we're prospecting and doing top of funnel is the gift of time. So
Mhm.
all of us, all we have is time. As human beings, that's all we have is our valuable is time. And when a buyer says no to us or a buyer hangs up on us, or even if we've done the job of confirming the appointment in advance and we still get that 5 minutes before decline, sorry man, something came up, they've given us the gift of time, and it's on us as to how we want to use it. Most of us waste it. I know back before I started my Sandler business, if I had a buyer who did the 5 minute decline thing, and this is pre-COVID, so we're still meeting in person, I
Yeah.
didn't run back to my desk and start making prospecting calls. I
Yeah.
sat at the coffee shop, had a latte, felt bad about myself for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, and
Mhm.
then went back to my desk and slowly reintegrated myself into my day to day. So it's the gift of time. So that third buyer who hung up on me twice in a row gave me a gift because I never called them back because I
Yeah.
knew exactly what was going on. So that's another thing. Top of funnel is how are you best leveraging your time when you're given these gifts?
Mhm. I mean, you made thousands of cold calls.
Mhm.
I assume that you weren't just doing that in like 250 one-day sprints. You were probably doing it more regularly. Is that correct? Was it a consistent practice that you were applying to get that done?
Yeah, the Sandler said do a little bit prospecting all of the time instead of a lot some of the time. Now,
Yeah.
a little and a lot, the numbers could change, right? So when I
Mhm.
started, I was doing a lot of activity. I was doing it consistently. So I'm also a cross country ski racer
Yeah.
on marathon distance and longer, and so it's consistency. And so with prospecting, with top of the funnel, how consistent are you being? Are you doing a little bit all the time? So for some people, that might mean one a day. That might
Mhm.
mean one a day. We had a guest come to one of our training sessions once, PhD, super technical, obviously super intelligent. We were talking about proactive prospecting plans, which Sandler calls a cookbook. And they put up their hand and I said, question, they said, I can't do that. And I said, you can't do what? And they said, oh, well, that's too much. I have all this stuff over here that I have to do, on the operation side and this side and that side. I said, okay, cool. Hey, you mind if we go through a little bit of an exercise? And they said, sure. So we walked through the exercise, And what they discovered is they had to do one proactive prospecting activity every business day, not calendar day, every
Yeah.
business day to hit their numbers. And so they're doing the numbers in front of me, and I could just see the realization coming in their eyes. And I said, "So now that you've done the arithmetic on it, like how you feeling?" They went, "Oh, I can do that."
Yeah.
And that goes back to with our brain, right? Our brain, stranger danger, right? So, hey, Austin, you should go talk to strangers. Your brain's like, not going to happen,
Yeah.
right? Oh, and by the way, Austin, you should talk to strangers regularly, like every single day. And your brain's like, heck no, this is not happening, right? Oh, I don't have to talk to a stranger a day. I have to reach out to a stranger a day. I might leave a voicemail. I might not talk to them. Well, I could do one a day. That sounds easy. And now you start the progress and you start building momentum.
So did that like specific person, did they start with one and then eventually start creeping up as they realized it was they could actually probably get five in a day and beyond just the one?
So I actually don't know because their company actually got sold shortly after they came as a guest. So we actually never started working with them as a client
Mhm.
because their whole business changed
Yeah.
underneath them. And I have had clients where they started with one a day and they moved up to two a day and then they moved. And this is the challenge with high achievers, right? When we work with ambitious and driven individuals, who are not necessarily on a path of consistency when it comes to filling the top of the funnel, they want to go from 0 to 10 a day or 0 to 20 a day. I'm like, you're
Mhm.
you're gonna fail because you're gonna do that for 2, 3 days, and then your brain is gonna be like, man, that feels like a lot of work. We should
Yeah.
probably take a break. And then as soon as you stop, all the momentum dies. So little bit of momentum every day. How are we moving the needle? How are we creating velocity every single day? And this is a phrase that I give to my clients on a consistent basis: is be better than zero every day. As
Yeah.
long as you're better than zero, you've got momentum, right? You're moving towards your mountaintop, whatever that mountaintop that is. And I know as a high achiever, if you just do one, you're probably going to be really frustrated. Celebrate the one as opposed to beating yourself up for the 4 or 5 that you didn't do, because at least you made progress and celebrate that.
Yeah. So is it enough just to start with that small, like like build it brick by brick, slowly get up like the tolerance, the capability, or are there other things people should be applying to like their practice to also gain the consistency?
Ultimately, it's so do it consistently. Yes, start with be better than zero.
Yeah.
Number two is come up with a reward for yourself. So in my book on accountability, we talk about consequences. And without consequences, you can't have accountability. However, the word consequence has been comes off as negative, right? That's
Mhm.
what we all think consequences are negative. The word consequence is neutral, it can be positive or negative. So what I say is I'm cookie operated, right? So legitimately, back when I first started,
Yeah.
if I made my dials for the day, I allowed myself to go to the coffee shop across the road and get a cookie.
Yeah.
That was my reward. And so what is your version of a cookie? Now it's something small, right? And I've heard people say, well, I get to go listen to music. I'm like, great. Do you have to listen to half an hour of music or can you listen to your favorite song?
Hmm.
Right? So what are those little tiny rewards that we can give ourselves that keep that momentum going? The other thing that we need is, and this is has also has a bit of a negative connotation, is a support group. Now, a support group can be one person, it could be a coach, mentor, advisor, whatever that might be,
Yeah.
or it could be a group of 2 to 5 other people who are there to celebrate and support you. Because as we go through change, and my second book was on change, humans don't like change. And we like to revert back to our comfort zone. So if you're making 0 proactive prospecting attempts a day and you even go to one, you're going to do that, day one, day two, maybe day three. By day 4 or 5, you're probably going to stumble,
Mhm.
right? And you're going to find other things to do. And when that's where our support group comes in to say, hey, Austin, man, you had a bad day, go home, have a good evening. Don't think about this. Come back tomorrow and get back on the horse again.
Yeah.
And then you're much more likely to be like, yeah, I am going to get back on the horse today or tomorrow, instead of going home and going, why am I not consistently prospecting?
Hmm.
So start, come up with a small reward, find a support group. Those would be the
Yeah.
three things to do.
That's great. I like the idea of when we're in the sales position, we're constantly being like, no is not a negative thing. It's not
Hmm.
failure. It's just part of the process. And
Yep,
it feels like you're kind of extending it to also like you're gonna have a day where you don't hit your goals. That
hmm,
doesn't mean you failed. It just means, yeah, course correct, get back on track, but
totally.
don't let that be the thing that undercuts you and like makes it so you don't call for the rest of the week or something.
100%.
Yeah. All right, so we're getting close to what we agreed on our upfront contract about how long we wanted to talk. Uh, any parting final thoughts before I let you go that you think, this is the one that drives home for individuals who are listening in?
So here's another thing that we haven't touched on quite yet. The biggest cost of sales is missed appointments. So,
Hmm.
okay, success, right? We made the prospecting attempt. We talked to a buyer. The buyer said they'll meet with us.
Mhm.
Yay, we did it, right? Except, and I know I've done this, I will agree to meet with buyers or sellers just to get them off the phone,
Yeah.
right? And I don't think I'm a bad person. However, I have done that behavior. So, what we need to do is a Sandler technique called the post sale or post sell. And so, anytime a buyer makes a commitment, we have to make sure that they're actually committed to doing it. So, years ago, I was making a prospecting call, spoke with the CEO of a local chemical company, and we had agreed that we were going to get together the following Friday at like 8:30 in the morning. Perfect. I'll send you a meeting invite. Hey, out of curiosity, what might come up between now and next Friday that would cause us to move or cancel the meeting? And they said, hi, that's a good question. Let me check. Oh, I'm at an all-day offsite strategy session next Friday. And I said, so would it make sense for us to reschedule our call right now? And they said, absolutely it would. So we shifted to Thursday afternoon.
Mhm.
And as I tell my clients, if I hadn't asked that question, three outcomes. Outcome number one, I never hear from them again. Legitimately, I just never hear from them again.
Yeah.
Outcome number two, I get a message from them or their executive assistant a couple of days in advance. Oh, hey, he's out of town. Can we reschedule? Okay. Or the third one is I get the 5 minutes before decline message, right? Oh, hey, I didn't realize that, da da da. Now, the first one, obviously, we don't want, but even the second one, now I'm in chase mode. Oh, is he available here? Is he available there? And again, this is pre-COVID, so like there's not a lot of video calls going on. So for when we're doing our proactive prospecting, congratulations, you connected with them. Congratulations, they said they wanted to meet. We still have to confirm that they're really interested in actually having a conversation with us so we don't go, oh,
Yeah.
when the buyer ultimately ghosts us or declines the meeting invite.
Yeah, I've had a couple of times where somebody reached out to me with a legitimate reason as to why they couldn't, make the meeting. And
Yeah,
if I had just asked that question because it was travel plans, and they're
yeah,
like, I was like, if I'd asked the question, it wouldn't have ever happened. Like they
totally.
literally would have gotten me out of that one. So it's fun to like get that yes, and I totally still get the high from that yes.
Yeah,
But I forget all the time to do the post sale. So
yeah,
I'm like writing it down. I'm like, do not forget to ask this question. And
totally.
I'm hoping it hasn't worked out for me yet. I don't have a cool story yet, but I imagine there'll be more yeses where I can practice it. And I'm really looking forward to being able to apply that from my own.
I love it. I love it, Austin. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah. Hamish, this was fantastic. Really appreciate you.
Have a great rest of your day. Take care.